Tracy Ferrand here. Stop buying love. Stop buying love. How do we buy love? We do this consciously and unconsciously by people pleasing, fawn mode. You know, in emergencies or different uncomfortable situations, people can fight back, freeze, or they can fawn. Sometimes people fawn because they believe that being good or being nice will make the pain stop. It will make the person stop or protect them. So that's what we mean by fawn. We also buy love by grandstanding, seeking unnecessary attention, keyword unnecessary attention. And we should stop thinking that if we're nice to people, they'll be nice back to us or they won't hurt us. People do what's in their interest. And if people don't value you, if they lack character, respect for you, or people overall, buying love doesn't change that. That's a character issue, and that's a regard issue in terms of how they regard you. There are also, of course, the religious influences. There's also emotional dependencies, where we buy love because we're emotionally dependent. We think we need the person. It becomes like a drug. But the solution is bringing ourselves to consciousness and acceptance of the truth, looking beyond our emotions, natural and unnatural bonds, looking beyond those, looking beyond culture and religion and what we've learned. Once we accept the reality and assess, that will liberate us. And it's having the maturity to assess truthfully about who we are and our relationship with those around us. And we should put efforts into loving ourselves. Instead of buying love from other people, we should love ourselves. And also those who truly love us. And as well as the quote-unquote orphans and widows. Those people who are actually trying and in need or have met misfortune. That's my belief. And next point, I would say point 2. We don't have to love everyone. We don't have to like everyone. I think that's an unhealthy fallacy that we should love everyone, and that we are so good people if we do that, and God will reward us. But the truth is, we're also taught to sow seeds and to sow seeds on good ground. And love is a seed, and so we ought not to sow seeds in the wrong places. By the wayside, narcissistic people, it's like by the wayside, they really don't care. Or on rocky ground, people are unappreciative or will, return evil for good. So, or manipulation. So we should sow seeds, so we should sow in wisdom. So that's it. Next point, we don't have to love everyone. Just part 2 of that. You will know that the Bible comes from Western religion and it undergirds our decision-making process, who we are, through school, through parenting and all of that. But it says, love thy neighbor as thyself, which is the second commandment. So love ourselves as well as love our neighbor. Well, I am going to choose my neighbor as much as possible and work within the boundaries with the rest of neighbors who I do not choose. So we should use wisdom. God did not say love everyone. He said love thy neighbor. And love does not mean self-sacrifice. Yep. It doesn't. Love is something that's healthy. If it's unhealthy, it's not love. So what was the original text? Did it say neighbor? What did it mean? What exactly did it say? And I'm sure it meant to love others besides ourselves, as I said, love our neighbors. But it is impossible to love everyone. It makes no sense. We do not have the bandwidth, resistance, or resilience to love everybody. All the faults and flaws, we don't. It's a misguided teaching, I believe. In fact, it is foolish to sow seeds just randomly. We should use wisdom in sowing our seeds in good soil. The seed of love, first in ourselves and in those around us. Because as it said, Don't also just give love to people who gonna give you back. I give you $2, you give me back $2. Unless you're doing business or somebody borrows money or something. But otherwise, you give to those who cannot help. Because they say your reward is in the heavens. And God Himself will reward you. Alright? So it's not a careless sowing of love where you're supporting carelessness and you're fostering carelessness. It is to be a responsible sowing. God give us a brain for a reason and a heart, and we should use it. So, to love everyone is over ambitious. It's playing God and being pretentious and over pious. Biting off more than we can chew. Human beings are diverse and complicated, ignorant, overlearned, underlearned, nuanced, difficult, selfish, wicked, kind, funny, boring, wise, stupid, arrogant, and mild, and much more. So it's an over-ambitious endeavor to love everyone we come in contact with. We can respect them or choose to separate, but it's just, in my opinion, impossible to love everybody, and it's foolish. We have to prioritize, and first prioritize ourselves and what's important. So, it's impossible and foolish and misguided to love everyone, especially in all of their foolishness. Fools die for want of wisdom, so we ought to, when we read things, to use wisdom. God won't tell us everything. We should use our wisdom. We are limited, God is unlimited, and we should focus on the quality of relationships and people, and not the quantity, and that is wise, not just the quantity. And I believe it's an inefficient and effective way to live, to decide you're just going to love everybody and just be a Pollyanna, Mr. and Mrs. Pollyanna, Senora and Senorita. Since you're taking on the burden of loving everyone, irrespective. But as I love is healthy, love is not foolish. So it's not our job to love everyone, I believe. That's a job for whoever created them. So whoever created all of humanity and responsible for all of this planet, let them love them. Let their own creator love them. I cannot take on that burden. So let them go back to their creator. Let your creator love you. So we should not buy love from people through people pleasing and seeking too much attention or unnecessary attention and fawning or being afraid. We should not. And the truth is that we've been told that we have to love everyone. We have to like everyone. That's the message. And we're bad if we don't. If we see people for who they are in their complexities, we're somehow being bad, especially those close to us, near and far as well. And if we dare deviate and to question, say, do I love this person and am I doing the right thing? And I'm hurting. This person is very harmful, a little toxic and unhealthy. And if we decide to choose the healthy way, or point out a dysfunction in the bondage of loving unhealthily in different situations, then we are coerced, we are shamed, we are guilted, we are told off just to get us back in line, because people need that psychological safety. And so they have to try and keep us in control for their own psychological safety. All right, and for their own provision as well, their emotional supply, as well as resource supply sometimes. So, also, we can't force the meaning of a word or a verse. So if it says love thy neighbor and not love everyone, we can't make it fit because it has historically been that way for 1,000 years. It said love thy neighbor, not everyone. So we can choose our neighbors, perhaps. And so that is it. Because if we do things carelessly, I said love is healthy. But if we do things in a dysfunctional way, what will happen that whatever we sow into it will multiply. So if we sow into dysfunction because of affiliations and affections and all of that, but we're feeding a dysfunction, then we're also part of the problem. But in truth, we ought to make wise decisions, because love is a seed. And we ought to make sure that we're growing the right seeds and sowing in the right ground, the right people. So stop buying love. Stop buying love.